Why is it so difficult to get out of bed? I've asked myself this question a numerous amount of times and decided to use this project as an opportunity to get to the bottom of the question I ask myself almost daily. First, I did some research about getting a better night's sleep and what that means exactly. I tried looking for research that answered my question directly, but I figured out that the answer wasn't as simple as I thought. I began to think about my own sleep schedule and analyzed when I went to bed and how often I found myself not getting up in the morning. Through reading several articles, I discovered something called the circadian rhythm, a process that repeats about every 24 hours and is the body's way of regulating sleep and waking. I discovered how this regulation affects the sleep you get, and that having the circadian rhythm be off negatively impacts one's getting up ability.
KV says our brains have an alerting or waking system and a sleep system.
When we're sleep deprived, we've affected our waking alerting system because that system depends on sleep for it to rebuild and function at its highest level.
I found KV's point of view interesting because he explained how getting up wakes you up and how these two activities mutually reinforce each other. The more the stimulation happens, the harder it is to fall back asleep. I then gathered some statistics from people in my age range to find out if they were having the same difficulty getting out of bed as me. I made a Google form where I asked 4 sleep-related questions that would hopefully help me find out if other people have an imbalance of circadian rhythm too. I posted the link to the survey on my Instagram story and waited 24 hours for an adequate sample size. The data collected showed that about 83% of the people surveyed feel tired as opposed to well-rested when they wake up. 68% of the people surveyed said they use the snooze button and go back to sleep in the morning. In the last question, I asked the sample what their routine before bed included. I then tallied the results for ease and comparison and found that most people spend time on their phone followed by watching TV or Netflix. I found it interesting how most of the people surveyed said they hit the snooze button and feel tired, and I wondered if it possibly correlated with their nightly routine. My question then became, does one's pre-bed routine affect their circadian rhythm and getting up ability? I decided I needed to do more research to answer my new question. I stumbled upon a few TED Talks and found one titled, What Causes Insomnia, particularly intriguing.
Managing the stress that leads to hyperarousal is one of our best understood treatments for insomnia, and good sleep practices can help rebuild your relationship with bedtime. Make sure your bedroom is dark and comfortably cool to minimize threats during hyperarousal.
I had assumed that me not getting out of bed was just laziness, but in the video, Dan Cordler explained how the symptoms of poor sleep leave people waking in a state of exhaustion, confusion, and stress, which leads the process to start all over again. After watching the TED Talk, I went back to the data I had earlier collected. The TED Talk advised that to be well rested, one should refrain from strenuous activities and avoid the use of technology before hitting the sack. Most of the people I surveyed said they either do homework or scroll through their phone before going to bed. 2 things you weren't supposed to do in order to get good sleep. I think that watching this video wrapped up everything necessary for me to answer my question. In order for me to get out of bed without hitting snooze and being tired, I need to fix my habits before bed. After getting home from work, I should try to relax instead of doing homework or scrolling through Instagram for what seems like 2 hours. This project of going down the rabbit hole helped me understand a topic I never put much thought into before. After all the research I gathered and everything I learned, I discovered that me not wanting to get out of bed was just a non-stop cycle of poor sleep due to an imbalance in my circadian rhythm and bad pre-bedtime habits. If I were able to make this video longer, I would document me trying to rebalance my circadian rhythm by fixing my sleep habits. I could ask other people to do the same thing and compare how they feel as opposed to being exhausted and having no energy to get out of bed. Nonetheless, I was able to come up with a conclusion about something where the answer can help me and others as well.